Hey guys, hope you're doing well, taking care of yourself. This is Alex here with another SQL-based tutorial, this time on SQL Aggregates. SQL Aggregates they're simple operations that are used by SQL Server that allow you to do a few other things you might not normally want to do, or that could easily be done inside of SQL Server. But without further ado, let's get started. Now, I will be using the Northwind database. It is a free database provided with fake data by Microsoft, and there will be a link in the description if you need a reference to it, if you want to get it yourself, and that way you can follow along with the video if you need to. Second thing to note is I'll probably be going kind of fast, so feel free to pause in the video as you need to, so you can kind of like find out what's kind of going on and go on from there. Anyway, let's go to our first one. The first one I want to go with is count. So what count generally is used for is to get a general sum of the rows, like to see like how many are there. So first, let's do select start from orders. So down here at the bottom right, let's make that bigger. Down here at the bottom right, this generally gives you a count of how many rows there are, but sometimes you do it by condition, sometimes you have many rows, and sometimes you want like a specific thing. So in which case I see a lot of the order dates here kind of like from like 1996. So like what count will generally do is it'll give you a general count of everything you have there. So something else that I want to do is I might want to put a condition that says where, here, hold on. Let me do this first. Let's get the orders first. Where order date is less than, let's just say, just to make it simple. Okay, so I only want to get a count of all the orders inside 1996. So this will kind of give me that result set. So originally we have 152 that are within the 1996 range, and we know that by comparing the two counts. So all the orders we have is 830, 152 are before 1997 January 1st. So that's kind of an idea of like how count can be relatively useful if you want to like use that specifically. Another example that I want to go with is sum. So an example of where you could use sum is, and I actually have like a prep query here for you. Here. So what this query is basically a query inside the orders, and it does a join statement with the order details. Now, what it says is that the order header basically gives you details, kind of like telling you, here, let's do that real quick. So the order details basically tells you like who the customer is, what their employee is, when they ordered, required date, and you can see, and you can also see like a lot of it's on repeat. That's gonna be important later. And the order details will give you information about the order, such as like the product details. This is pretty typical. So if I requery this, here, let's do OD orders. This will kind of give me details a little more about everything. So in the order details, I can see, oh, in this order, they ordered product ID 11, 42, and 72. What's the cost of those items and the quantity? So somewhere where the sum quantity or the sum aggregate would actually be pretty useful is pretty much here. If I just want to get the actual order from it from the database, instead of going into code, I could just go to the database, just do the sum calculation, and then just modify from here. So what I might do would be something like this: order.order ID, order.customer ID, sum, and then unit price. So the unit price in this case would be like 14. So I want to do 14 times the quantity. That's total. And that will pretty much do it. However, we also need a group by. So what the group by will basically do is it will find, in order for the sub quantity to work, it's going to do 14 times 12, 9.8 times 10, 34.8 times 5. That's going to give me the aggregate of each one. But if I also want to show the order ID and the customer ID, I need to group those together. And that basically tells SQL Server like, hey, check that these guys are the same, in which case it won't give me any issues because of the sum. So I can see right here the order ID, all the rows are the same, customer ID, all of them are the same. I want to run this one. It gives me the order ID, the customer ID, and the total for the order. And if by some chance I actually want to add more details on here, such as like when did they actually order it, I want to add the order date. I want to make sure that I also have that detail inside the group by clause as well. So then I can see here's when they ordered it, that's the sum total, etc. So that's kind of an example of like when the sum call would be pretty useful. So another example that I want to show is max and min. So they're effectively just inverses of each other. But they can be relatively useful depending exactly what you need. So an example where it might actually be helpful is to see, hey, I want to know what was the most recent order done, you know, for this database. So in which case I might actually use a value like the date. So if I end up doing that, not sure if you could see that, but that says May 6th, 1998. So in here, this tells me, hey, I can do that as, hey, I would like to know what is the most recent date. And that basically gives it to me. The exact opposite of that would be min. In which case I could just do that. And that gives me July 4th, 1996. So basically everything in between would be all the orders done from within the database. And if I wanted to actually like verify this, what I can do is I could just do a select star count from it. And I could actually check the order date and make sure that the order date is less than the minimum date, which gives me nothing, because if that's the very first order, then you know there should be nothing less than that. Alternatively, if I get the max and I use the max date, it should give me without changing the less than by sign, it should give me all 830. It'll probably give me 829. Oh, 828. So in which case, what is this? Oh, 826. Okay, so in which case that makes sense, because if there was a couple orders done onto the max date, then that would explain it. Yeah, and there's the 4 missing orders. So earlier we got a count of 830. We got, what's it called? When I do this on the bottom right, it gives me a result set of 826, which I just realized you guys cannot see. Yeah, so that gives me 826 here. And then, you know, the 4 missing orders is because those orders were actually done on that date. Yeah, which is right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. All right, guys, those were some of the most basic, pretty much used SQL aggregates that are typically used. There are several other functions that are used differently, but they're actually still very helpful inside of SQL Server once you start getting used to them. So like rank, dense ranked, row number. You can actually do a few things where if you want to do like an order by and then reverse order by, and which would kind of give you like an alternative to like a min max. So there's a lot of cool things you can do inside of SQL Server without actually going into switching to like say C# or Java code or whatever your preferred language is. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. If you like the content, please hit like and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take it easy. Later.